our purposes and thoughts in our hearts of your people and direct their thoughts toward you. That's a pretty nice, concise way of talking about how to keep our thoughts positive,
Yeah.
and how to do that. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So now, again, during the first half, the first part of this broadcast, when we first logged on, the mute button was on.
Oh, well.
So we were filming, but they couldn't hear our voice.
Okay.
So what they heard was probably the end part of the Daily Word.
Okay.
And so I think it'd be appropriate for us to go back real quick, if that's
right.
okay.
Sure.
And just kind of read that again. And I want to thank our viewers for letting us know that they couldn't hear us. And
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Today's daily word is thoughts, and the affirmation is my positive thoughts create my world.
Yeah.
I create my life through the power of my thoughts. My positive thoughts bless my life with peace, prosperity, and wholeness. But sometimes I may experience more discord, lack, and ill health. Rather than worry or wish things could be different, I return to my thoughts. I accept the conditions I see, but keep my thoughts aligned with a more enduring truth. When faced with chaos, I affirm the peace of God is mine. When confronted with insufficient supply, I affirm I am part of God's abundant universe and all my needs are met. If I feel ill, I affirm I am made in the image and likeness of God and I am whole. I'm so grateful to keep God in my thoughts. And the scriptural reading is from 1 Chronicles chapter 29, verse 18. O Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, our ancestors, keep forever such purposes and thoughts in our hearts of your people and direct their hearts towards you. You know, and as I was saying, this is a nice way of just showing you or giving you an example of when things aren't going so well. How do we stay positive? You know, how do we do affirmative prayer in the face of instances that perhaps aren't so great? So that's kind of a nice one. I like that. You know, one of the things I was talking about a little bit earlier, last week, during our conversations, we got talking about ministers. And I made the comment that, you know, ministers are just like you and me. You know, they're everyday people. And what I'd like to do is expand on that a little bit. It's not like you open up the want ads or you go on, you know, the websites, you know, where jobs are, and you see minister, and you say, oh, that's something I'd like to do.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that's not the way it works. Typically, what happens is that people who go into the ministry feel called in that direction. There is something within them that responds to a message that they heard, responds to what we call inner guidance. And by the way, I'm going to be doing the Sunday service, not this week, but the following
On the
week.
29th. Yep.
And the whole topic of what I'm going to talk about is inner guidance. What is it? How do we know whether that's guidance or just our random thoughts? You know, what's that all about?
Yeah, definitely a difference.
And that's what I'm going to talk about. And by the way, while I'm mentioning that, if our listeners out there, if you have a prayer request you'd like to send in, please do that. And I'm going to take some of those prayer requests during the service and then just do a prayer for them.
Yeah.
Now, we did that once before.
Yeah.
A couple of months ago, I think, and we had a lot of positive remarks about that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're going to do that again.
So you can send your prayer request to contact at unityofchattanooga.org and just type in the email what your prayer request is, and we'll make sure we get that to Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if we get 10 or 12, I'll probably do 3.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
so, but rest assured, if you do send a prayer request in, and we don't work with that on Sunday, you will get a private email with a prayer response for that. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit is that people who go into the ministry typically feel a calling. Now, in my class, when I went through from 2002 to 2004 in Unity Seminary, most of the people there, the average age was about 53. And it ranged from about 48 to about 60, but the average age was 53, which is kind of late in life. And maybe that's for a reason. A lot of the people in my class, for example, some were attorneys, some were judges, many were from the healing arts. There was a couple of doctors, psychologists, people of that nature. Most of the people in our congregation or in our ministerial class were professional people. You know, they'd had a professional career, and they felt something greater, a calling. Sometimes it's just a feeling. Sometimes it's much more than that. I know in my own experience, my guidance was pretty strong. I can remember sitting in church one time, and the minister got up, and actually I think it was the minister's wife. She was doing the announcements, and she started talking about a chaplaincy program. We're going to start a chaplaincy program. We're going to have training for that, and if you'd like to become a chaplain, you know, come see me afterwards or on Tuesday nights or whenever it was, you know, show up and that sort of thing. And when I heard that, it was like a lightning bolt went through me. And man, that's exactly what I want to do.
What you want to do, yeah.
Now, by the end of the service, I talked myself out of it, you know, and got up out of the pew to you know, go home or do whatever Penny and I were going to do at the time.
So they're not. So you're saying that they're not. It's just not. You made a statement last week, and it was like they're not regular people, but they are. They're like you and me, and what I took from that when you said that, I didn't take that they were just like people that ministers are like, you know, regularly like you and me. I mean, what I took from that is that they have feelings.
Oh yeah.
And they have thoughts, and
I think there is a connection that opens up to, for lack of a better word, a higher power. And there is something within the people who want to become ministers that it's just different.
It's different.
You know,
right.
There are a lot of people out there,
and they want to serve, right? They have to want to serve and help people,
right?
Yeah.
That's very much part of it. But in my class and in the class before and after me, there were people in that training that didn't want to become ministers. They were there just simply for the education and the personal experience of going through that.
Do they have a connection already? I mean, we all have a connection, but I think our level of that, we're at different levels with our connection with God. Is that safe to say, or?
I think so.
Yeah. So do they, like people that are applying for that type of position, do they already have a connection to God? Well, of course they do, right? But that level is that level already high, or is it like?
I think it's very high.
It's very high. Yeah. Before they go to ministry school, you think?
Before they even apply.
Before they apply. Okay.
You know, and I'm not saying that everybody who feels that connection or feels that draw to spirit should go to ministry. Okay, there are many people out there who feel that, who have that connection, and they do other things. Okay, but the ones that I've known that have chosen the ministerial path, there is something there with their inner guidance that is saying this is for you. You know, it's special. It's unique. So
yeah. And maybe like what about on a level of being picked by like the what do you call it, the is there like a selection committee?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And do they look for certain characteristics? Or?
They do.
Okay. Because I would assume that like if you're looking for, when you're looking for a police officer, there's certain characteristic that needs to be present.
That's right.
Yeah. And so I would think it's the same thing. What kind of characteristics are they looking for?
Well, basically what they're looking for is a person who is pretty well grounded, okay, who's got pretty good life skills already.
Yeah. Life skills are important. You can't come into the church and you ain't got your shit together. I mean, excuse me, not your stuff together. Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way: you're going to be in front of people.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way: we all know people.
Yeah.
Okay. They come to the party, and we know those people. Oh my gosh, here comes that person again.
Here comes Shannon.
Here comes that person. And I'm going to hear about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Or I'm going to hear about that.
Right.
Or this person's got this issue.
Yeah.
It's all over them all the time.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so what happens is when you're in a leadership position,
Right.
especially a spiritual leadership position where people are naturally open.
Yes.
And vulnerable.
They're vulnerable. They come into you with their problems, marital problems, problems with family problems.
Exactly.
You know.
All that.
And if you don't have your stuff together, you can really mess up some people.
Well, not only that, but you want to be the type of person who is focused, who's caring, who's connected themselves, and you're not trying to manipulate anything.
Right.
You know, you're there to help, and your own world is in fairly decent
in decent order.
Yeah.
You don't want to. Your house has to be in order before.
Exactly, because you're going into a spiritual leadership position.
Right.
So when we were being interviewed,
you shouldn't be homeless. You shouldn't be, roaming around from place to place. You should be pretty stable. Even some churches even have a problem if you're single. Some ministries.
Some do, I guess.
Yeah.
And as we all know these days, I mean, if you take a look at the churches and the number of time churches have split and that sort of thing, I mean, there's big issues about homosexuality this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't be a pastor if they were talking about that.
Well, and let's not kid one another. Right. I mean, there's black churches, there's white churches.
Yeah.
There's Muslims and Jewish, and it. I wish it was.
I think Martin Luther King said that. He said, Sunday morning is the most segregated time in America.
At 11 o'clock. Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. Yeah. So, anyways, when I applied to ministerial school, we had interviews, and one of the interviews was with a psychologist. Now, I don't know whether he was a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but he was in the counseling mode, and he was, or she, was very keen on looking for issues. What's driving this person?
Right.
Why do they want to become a minister?
Right. Yeah.
Tell me about your life. Tell me about your family. Those sorts of things. And they don't want somebody who's got more issues than Reader's Digest.
I understand. That makes sense. It really does make sense.
Having said that, I can also tell you that.
What will that do to that can do a lot of damage to a congregation. It can do a lot of damage to people.
Well, the other thing too, you're not going to build a strong congregation if if the guy on the pulpit is got more issues than you do.
So when you said last week, he's like you and me. You didn't.
I just wanted to expand on it a little bit.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And give you an idea. Like I said, we went through quite a bit of interviewing before they said yes. You can come in. And most of the people, like I said in my ministerial class, were in their 50s. They had already had a good career. They'd been good at it. They had a stable life, and they were in a position at that point in their lives, and they'd been with Unity for a while. Okay, they understood. They'd taken the courses. They they understood the philosophy, they agreed with it. They had their own personal prayer practice, that sort of thing.
They kind of settled down. They kind of settled down. They hope. Yeah.
And the other thing too, let's say that you're a young family and you've got some marital problems.
Yeah.
Okay, or you've got kids that are perhaps going the wrong way, and you want to talk to somebody, and so you go in and talk to the minister, and he's 21 years old with his,
not married yet.
Not married,
right.
And starts quoting the Bible.
Right.
That ain't gonna work too well.
Yeah.
Okay. By the same token, the Unity ministers that I've known again are typically older. They've been around the block. Many of them have raised families. Now that's not to say that they haven't had divorces, that they haven't had their own set of problems,
right.
that sort of thing. But quite frankly, for a person who has gone through those things, they understand those dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay,
They can better help a person.
exactly.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, been around it. And I'll give you an example. Years ago, we had a member in our congregation who had a pretty rough and storied life. I mean, he'd been in prison. He'd done the drugs and alcohol. He'd lived on the street. He kept money in his pocket by hustling, this, that, and the other thing. And one day we found him in our church, and I can remember doing a talk on forgiveness. And this guy was about, 6'4", about 350. He was
guy.
huge.
Yeah.
He was big, maybe even taller than that. And just tears running down his face. Well, I got to know him, fairly well over a course of a few years, and his life was catching up with him. In other words, he was kind of at the end. The drugs and the alcohol and all the rest of the things had taken quite a toll, and he was in hospice. And, and he was calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning in a panic attack, and I'd talk with him over the phone, or I'd go to his house, or that sort of thing. And his biggest fear at that particular point was that when he died, he was going to burn in hell forever.
Wow.
For all the bad things he'd done in his life. Well, one of the things that he had done recently is he had joined AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and I had gone to their meetings several times with this fellow.
To support him?
To support him, but also they have what they call anniversary dates. And that's the date when you joined AA and you became sober, and you haven't had a drink for X number of years or whatever. That's your anniversary date.
I've heard a lot of good things about you, Doug.
Well,
that's so nice. I mean, I've been a member of the 12-step groups, and I know what it means to have a family member or a pastor come out on your anniversary day to support you. And not only that, but I've heard some good things about you, man.
Well,
some really
that's
good things.
nice
I mean,
to
about
know.
you going out to the hospital with people when their parents have passed away, or
all of that.
Yeah,
but that's
but
part of it.
That's a part of what we're talking about, right?
So, anyways, get back to the story. He was afraid he was going to burn in hell. That all of these past transgressions were going to catch up with him. And I looked at him at one particular point, and the people in that particular AA group looked up to this guy. And he was always talking with other people and helping them out.
Yeah,
and
he's
bringing
like a
them,
sponsor. Kind of
that's exactly right,
Yeah.
as a sponsor. And I looked at him at one particular point in time, and I said, look,
man,
you've been called. The people that you're helping, I could never help.
Right.
They wouldn't listen to me, okay?
You don't know a thing about alcohol.
Well, not only that, you got your MBA, you're up there, on the preaching from the Bible. Don't give me that crap.
They want to know about what you know. Like
you're
the
exactly
street.
right.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, you're doing work now
That's right.
that I couldn't do.
Right.
And you're helping people. And to a certain degree, who's to say that Spirit has not prepared you for this ministry?
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
you're the minister to a group of people that most ministers can't
and not
reach.
only those people, but their families.
Exactly.
Because
exactly.
Yeah. So.
And so, the point of that story is just simply to say there are ministers out there who feel called, and they've had a rough life. They've been there. They've done that. They've gone through the divorce. They've been bankrupt. They've, those sorts of things. But at the same time, they're there to help others with those kinds of problems. So it's quite a lifestyle.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that back up.
Yeah.
Before we, we're already almost. It's almost time to end.
We're almost done. Yeah.
But before we end, I want to go back and just go back into the. I didn't get a chance to read the Daily Word today. I had a lot going on this morning.
All right.
And usually I do get a chance, but you mentioned something in here, and I just wanted to kind of look at it again. Is that yellow thing there?
Yeah, that's
okay. Yeah.
And there's today's.
My positive. Can you touch on that a little bit? Just.
Sure.
Yeah. We talked about that a few weeks ago, about our thoughts and about how they create whatever.
In Unity, we call it the law of mind action, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit, in a week or so during my talk. But specifically, real quick, all right,
what can we do to change our thoughts if they're not beneficial for us, if they're not
the first thing you can do,
because if our thoughts create our world and we're creating chaos in our world, if our world is chaotic, we need to take a look at our thoughts. Is that correct? Or
your thoughts and your feelings.
Your thoughts and your feelings. And
okay, because the feelings reflect the thoughts.
Okay.
If you want to know what's going on in your head, get in here.
Okay.
Which
is okay, real quick. I want to get practical real quick. I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine.
So, is it safe to say, and I'm not, just help me out. If I look at, is my world an indicator of what's going on in my head and what's going on and how I'm feeling? It's like, is my world an indicator of what's going on in my head and what I'm feeling?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's a good gauge.
It's an excellent
gauge.
Okay.
So I see chaos in my world. I need to change my thoughts. Is that correct?
That's
and my
correct.
feelings. Tell me what to do to change my thoughts, Doug.
The first and foremost thing you want to do
because my world is crazy.
Shift away from the problems and focus to the best of your ability on God. Go to that quiet place and focus on the highest and the best in terms of a source of or a presence of a divine, I hate to say being, but a divine energy, being, whatever, that is guiding you simply right now in a peaceful, loving, healing way. Focus your thoughts on God. That's the first thing to do. Now, in our 5-step prayer method, that's number one. In meditation, that's the first thing you do. I mean, you quiet yourself, you relax, but then focus as best as you can, bring your thoughts to God.
Okay.
Take a look at the Lord's Prayer. What did Jesus start out with? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And
so
then he asked for what he wanted.
Okay.
So, give us this day our daily bread.
So you say put my thoughts on God.
Yeah.
How do I do, is it like, do I picture God in my thoughts? Or do I, what do I, how do I put my thoughts on God?
I'll tell you the way that I do it.
Is there a picture that I need to look at in my mind?
No, you can, but what I do is I'll sit and I'll be still, and I'll just close my eyes for a minute, I'll take a deep breath, and I'll just say, God is here, right here and right now, flowing through every part of my body. And then I'll just repeat that, and I'll be quiet and just simply say, God is here. God is here. Or another phrase that you might like, peace, be still. Okay, something along those lines. Pick out some phrases, some scriptural phrases, and have those available to you. I mean, if I had my Bible here, I'd pick out 2 or 3, but
So can we do like affirmations? Can we say some affirmations, like find some positive affirmations and say those things also
Yeah.
to change our thoughts?
Well, like I say, Jesus in chapter 6 of Matthew, which is the Sermon on the Mount, basically said, pray like this. He didn't say, memorize this prayer and say it every time. He didn't say that.
Okay.
He said, pray like this. So when you analyze that, what did he do? First thing he did is he focused on God. Then, without a lot of extraneous verbiage, he just stated what he wanted, and then he gave thanks. And so that's pretty much the formula. So let's say that there's a lot of let's just say you've got some problems with on the home front, with the spouse. You could just simply, once again, God is here, right here, flowing through every part of my body. Or you could say, thank you, God, for being right here and right now. And so in my family situation, we bring that presence and that power in. And we affirm a harmony. We affirm a healing. And we see us going forth hand in hand, once again in that loving manner that we used to experience. So thank you, God, for the healing and the guidance and the harmony flowing through my marriage right now. So it is. Something like that.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of off the top of my head, but,
Yeah, you're good.
Now,
You're good.
well, what I did, I'll tell you what I did, is I pictured a little bit of a instance where Penny and I have been married for 45 years, okay?
Right.
But every now and then, there's a little snarling that goes on, Most of the time now, we're fine by this time, but every now and then. So
be careful, she's watching.
I know. So I just kind of tried to get into the feeling of what does that feel like?
Right.
Okay, so if there's a little disharmony, what does that feel like? Okay, now how do we affirm something better? How do we go forward?
And that's what one of our viewers said. One of our viewers said, if something is making you feel bad, focus on something that makes you feel good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just change your thought.
And quite frankly, in the daily word today, that's exactly, they gave us some affirmations.
Yeah.
They said, if this is happening, try some.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean you whitewash it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But again, focus on God. Number one, try to be still and present, and feel, feel that incoming guidance. Be open to it. Affirm that it's there. And then ask for what you want, and give thanks.
Yeah, we've gone over a little bit, and before we end, I want to just kind of thank you for coming out, Doug.
Okay.
Again, and we have to get out to do our little golfing, so you can show me some pointers there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be happy to do it.
And also, I want to remind our viewers that on Sunday, this Sunday at 11 o'clock on Facebook Live, we're going to have his name is Buchanan, Reverend Buchanan here on Unity of Chattanooga's Facebook Live page at 11 a.m. I'm going to put that up real quick. So come out and join us on August 22nd as we welcome James Buchanan. That's on Facebook Live, Unity of Chattanooga. Also, on the 29th, you're going to be here with us, Doug.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing the whole service on the 29th, and I'm going to be talking about guidance and that inner guidance and what's that all about, and what do you really mean by that, and how do I get connected to it, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, and that's going to be on the 29th, that's Sunday, and we're going to be here at Tennessee River Park. Pavilion number 1, and this pavilion right here.
Yep. So
we're excited about that. That's going to be an outdoor service. And also, the Saturday before that, which is the 28th, we're going to have our outreach downtown Chattanooga. We're going to go out to the shelter and give out some Unity material to people that may want to know a little bit more about Unity of Chattanooga. And we're looking for donations.
Okay.
And we want to thank, last week I made a mistake. And I thought that the church had actually donated these little baggies. And this is what we need. We need like little baggies of snacks that we can actually give to people.
Right.
If they want it. You know? And Penny.
And you're going to put something in there put something in the, a little Unity of Chattanooga.
Yeah, we're gonna
thing
put we're gonna put a little
in the bag.
Yeah, we're gonna put a little Unity of Chattanooga thing in the bag.
Right.
And then we'll probably put give them a little material they can read, take with them. But we want to thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, even though you probably don't even know you did it.
No, I know.
Men. No, I'm joking.
Penny knows everything. She did it.
But you guys donated these
Yes.
to the ministry.
Right.
And it's a little Danish and some applesauce and some crackers. And that's what we need. We need like these individually wrapped kind of goodies that we
Okay.
can give out to the
Stuff
people.
we can give out that they would appreciate.
Yeah, toothbrushes, toothpaste, stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in donating that kind of stuff, or if you're interested in coming out with me in 2 weeks downtown on the 28th, shoot me an email. And let me put my email up real quick. Doug, do you have anything else you want to
No.
mention real quick before we go?
I think that's about it for today.
Mm-hmm. That's my email address there. So shoot me an email if you're interested in helping out, or if you have any donations, any individually wrapped donations that you'd like to give. And we want to just thank you for coming out and joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a good time.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week at 4 p.m. here at Tennessee River Park on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Bye.
See you then. Bye-bye.